The Supplicants Social Distancing Handbook by Dion Fletcher. Narrated by Dion Fletcher. Chapter 1. Social Distancing. Life is very simple. There are three types of creatures in the whole of creation: the supplicants, the lesser beasts of the field, and those who see the system of supplication for what it really is. Supplicants daydream of total control. Total control is the ultimate orgasm for a supplicant. A world where the supplicants are in charge of everything is the ultimate goal of every supplicant. Every supplicant suffers from a fear of not being in charge. Supplicants are control freaks. The supplicants like telling the lesser beasts of the field what they can't do. A supplicant must monitor the data of every single lesser beast of the field so that the supplicant can feel better at night and sleep well, knowing that all the lesser beasts of the field are under the supplicant's control. The lesser beasts of the field live in La La Land. A lesser beast of the field is required to wear a muzzle over their face at all times. When the lesser beasts of the field go to vote for the supplicants, it is like when you were bad as a child, and the grown-up that was about to whip your ass would ask you to magnify the torture of the punishment. What was it the grown-up would ask you to do? Down south in Louisiana, the grown-ups would make you pick your punishment. And most of the time, we either got to choose from the leather strap or a switch from the switch tree for your whipping. It was agony to have to go pick a switch, because you would reason it out in your infantile mind that the leather strap was going to be so much worse than a switch from the switch tree. So you would pick a switch and think you were being slick by picking a small branch. But each time, when presented with the prospect of only a small, minute whipping, what would the grown-ups make us do? The grown-ups would make us march back over to the switch tree and pick a bigger branch for us to be whipped with. And this exercise would go on over and over again until you picked a switch from the switch tree that the grown-ups approved of, and then they would whip you with it. That was your punishment, and you picked it because you knew you deserved it. Now what would happen if you took too much time to pick your switch from the switch tree? Or if you tried to talk your way out of the whipping? It only angered the grown-ups, didn't it? You did not want to get the grown-ups angry, because when they get too angry, what did the grown-ups do? The grown-ups stomped over to the switch tree and picked the biggest switch the grown-ups could find, and they would whip you almost to death with it. And then what did the grown-ups do with it? The grown-ups would save the switch. If the switch survived the whipping, the grown-ups would display the switch or the leather strap somewhere in the house so that you would always see it and know without the grown-ups having to say it that if you stepped out of line, the grown-ups would whip you with it again. The grown-ups were willing to whip you as many times as it took to get you to comply. Elections are where the supplicants pick who is going to administer the whipping in order to get the lesser beasts of the field to comply. The lesser beasts of the field get to pick which of the two supplicants they want, left or right, liberal or conservative, leather strap or switch. In some systems, the chief high supplicant administers the paddle, and the lesser beasts of the field will cry out how wonderful and different that system is. But in the end, it is all a form of punishment, while the lesser beasts of the field get down on their knees, face down on the ground, crying in supplication. Chapter 2. Warning Signs. The supplicants believe the lesser beasts of the field are the enemy of the planet, and that therefore, like any other unruly beast of the field, without a purpose in the eyes of a supplicant, the lesser beasts of the field must be scoured from the garden. This brings us to the world the lesser beasts of the field are living in today. The supplicants have created a world in which machines do everything for the lesser beasts of the field. Because the supplicants are in power, and rule over the lesser beasts of the field, the supplicants believe they are justified in thinning the herd. The lesser beasts of the field are clueless to the existence of the sciences of the mind, and of all the different disciplines and doctrines that are involved in the art of supplication. The supplicants really run everything to make sure the lesser beasts of the field are kept in a little box called a pasture, where the supplicants train the lesser beasts of the field to have a big ego and believe that the lesser beasts of the field know everything there is to know. Everyone, right down to the soldiers and those who command the weapon systems, have to think they know everything. Most of the lesser beasts of the field forget this once they grow up. But remember, in the old days when you were a kid and you would be at school, what did the kids call the know-it-alls who were so brainwashed by the teachers they would not stop repeating what the teacher said? We teased them and called them repeaters. Now, why, when we were young, did we act like that? Was it because we were immature? Was it because we were being mean or silly? The answer could not be further from the truth or more primal. We called those kids repeaters because we knew deep down inside that those kids were not learning anything. We knew those kids were just repeating what the teacher said. Kids recognize it in other kids real quick when they are around a bunch of dummies that not only have no heart and soul, but can't even think at the most basic level for themselves. The lesser beasts of the field have to be trained to think that they know everything, and that every problem presented to them by the supplicants in the mass media death cult and the supplicants in the political class is real. And guess who amongst the lesser beasts of the field fall for that propaganda? The repeaters. And do you want to know why? It is simple. It is because the repeaters repeat whatever they are told as though it were the word of God, without ever having thought about what it is they are repeating for themselves. In other words, repeaters are not thinkers. And everyone, no matter how young or old, realizes, eventually, that it is dangerous to keep company with an ignoramus. That is why when it is nap time, none of the young girls want the repeaters' mats to be placed by their mat. Those young girls know nothing yet about the birds and the bees, yet a repeater within 50 feet of them makes their skin crawl, and leaves them with a desire to sleep with one eye open just in case the repeater tries something funny. The purpose of petting the ego and vanity of the lesser beasts of the field is to trick the dumb brutes into thinking the herd needs a system of supplication in every pasture, and that the herd can't go on living without one. The supplicants trick the lesser beasts of the field into believing the lesser beasts of the field came to this conclusion on their own. It was their idea, and the lesser beasts of the field did not have to be tricked into coming up with it. A lesser beast of the field will never admit that they have been brainwashed out loud, especially in front of the females in the herd. Chapter 3. Herd Immunity. The lesser beasts of the field do not know how many laws the herd breaks every day. Just walking across the street, getting up, going outside the barn, or saying the wrong thing is a crime in the eyes of a supplicant. A lesser beast of the field without warning could find themselves labeled difficult, opinionated, sassy, prone to laziness, or obsessed with staring at asses all day. If the supplicants could get away with it, the existence of the lesser beasts of the field would be against the law. Yet many amongst the lesser beasts of the field love living in a state of supplication. Many amongst the lesser beasts of the field struggle with it at first, but in the end, they come to love their supplication. The lesser beasts of the field always do. The school system trains the lesser beasts of the field to never disobey, sit still, listen, repeat, love supplication, and that football is more important than anything in the world, including God, science, and whatever the supplicants are doing. We're all in this together, remember? The supplicants are without shame. The supplicants are backed by political parties, without spines, that offer up blood sacrifices to demons that rape and kill the kids of the lesser beasts of the field in their nightmares. The supplicants are promoted by social media networks that promote nothing but programming that brainwashes the lesser beasts of the field. The supplicants tell conspiracy theories filled with lies. The supplicants give the herd drugs to render the herd docile and sterile before the supplicants slaughter the herd. That way, if any of the lesser beasts of the field try to escape the system of supplication before the appointed time of the thinning of the herd cannot breed and start a new life outside of the system of supplication, because the herd and all of the lesser beasts of the field in it have been marked for death. The supplicants want the whole herd to believe that every lesser beast of the field is bound for the glue factory if the herd does not listen to the supplicants in charge, and do as the herd has been instructed. It does not matter what a lesser beast of the field does. In the end, in the eyes of a supplicant, a lesser beast of the field will always be one of the lesser beasts of the field. In the mind of the lesser beast of the field, the hierarchy of the supplicants is somehow always official and always right, even if it is run by the left. The lesser beasts of the field simply obey, because the lesser beasts of the field believe in their hearts and minds that the supplicants at the top of the system of supplication always know what is best for the herd. The fastest way to build a new system of supplication is supplication through revolution. Supplication is never in a hurry, except when it is, and even when it is, it isn't. Supplication is gradual. Supplication is like being pressured for sex. The pressure comes not all at once, but slowly over a long period of time, until it becomes unbearable. Supplication takes place over decades and centuries. The supplicants believe this is the best policy because gradual infiltration plus indoctrination of the lesser beasts of the field to accept supplication slowly over multiple generations always has a long-lasting effect. In fact, the lesser beasts of the field usually do not notice it. Rarely will a lesser beast of the field look around to see what the rest of the world looks like outside of the herd, on its way to the grave or the glue factory. The lesser beasts of the field kind of notice something has happened to the poor wretched beasts around them, but they just can't seem to figure out why. The lesser beasts of the field know the herd has been taken over. The lesser beasts of the field know the supplicants are in charge. What the lesser beasts of the field think at that moment does not matter. When the art of supplication is practiced, slowly, over multiple generations, the kids of the lesser beasts of the field are programmed to think whatever the dumb brutes are going through has always been that way. That is why the kids think the same old system of supplication that the supplicants are selling is something new, because the supplicants own the pastures the lesser beasts of the field live in, and the supplicants have kept the lesser beasts of the field closed off from any information from any of the other pastures that the supplicants do not want the lesser beasts of the field to hear. Supplication first must take root as a psychological trick in the minds of the kids of the lesser beasts of the field, so that their bodies soon follow. Supplication works very well. So well, in fact, that most of the herd begins to program the lesser beasts of the field around them, that the herd is not being programmed by the supplicants at all. Chapter 4. Depression. The lesser beasts of the field float through life, chewing the media cud. The lesser beasts of the field are too busy to think about anything worth thinking about, because the lesser beasts of the field are trying to make ends meet. The lesser beasts of the field struggle to put on a happy face. The lesser beasts of the field have been trained that they are supposed to be happy all the time. The lesser beasts of the field are not allowed to be serious very often, and really have heart-to-heart conversations about how the lesser beasts of the field really feel. It is a sad situation, but that is how it is in the pastures where the lesser beasts of the field live. Even amongst the churches of the lesser beasts of the field, where there are supplicants in the pulpits, especially amongst the supplicants that pretend to be born again, and offer salvation in order to fleece the sheeple amongst the lesser beasts of the field of what little material possessions the lesser beasts of the field may have acquired. The supplicants in the pulpits tell the sheeple amongst the lesser beasts of the field that the useless eaters have been blessed by God. Sheeple like hearing this, but even sheeple need proof. Proof of the blessing of the sheeple amongst the lesser beasts of the field is a good job. If a sheeple amongst the lesser beasts of the field does not have a good job, or things have gone badly in the lives of the sheeple around them, it is because the sheeple are in bondage to some kind of sin or past life, where they were an even lesser beast of the field, and can only be set free from bondage through the approved system of supplication. The system of supplication is more advanced than anything the lesser beasts of the field can imagine. But the system of supplication is nothing compared to the ignorance of the lesser beasts of the field when they do not think for themselves. The lesser beasts of the field know, for example, that the supplicants use pollution to herd all of the lesser beasts from their fields all around the different pastures into the supplicant system of supplication. But the lesser beasts of the field do nothing about it, but stare at each other's asses until they die. It doesn't matter what color the beast or what field the beast came from. The dumb brutes cannot stop staring at all those asses in the herd to save their lives. Both the males and the females of the herd are hypnotized by the hind end. The lesser beasts of the field can't get enough of it. The supplicants love their system of supplication. This is obvious to any lesser beast of the field that thinks for themselves and doesn't stare at the asses of the herd until they pass out. The supplicants love it when the herd can't stop staring at asses, almost as much as they love their system of supplication. The supplicants love it. But you can't convince a lesser beast of the field staring at asses until they are either dead, in their grave, or on their way to the glue factory of that fact about the system of supplication. Some lesser beasts of the field are so hypnotized by hind ends that they will take any hind end they can get, even in the shower at the glue factory. Them soap sud supplicants are an unclean sight to behold, and no matter how hard they scrub, they can never wipe off all that supplication. Supplication is birthed from times of great upheaval, inequalities, and staring at the asses of the herd until your neck breaks and you die. A lesser beast of the field does not want to think for itself. Thinking takes energy and effort. A lesser beast of the field only wants to watch the asses of the herd, and the supplicants use that as a weapon against the lesser beast of the field. The supplicants do not want the lesser beast of the field thinking for themselves. The supplicants want the lesser beast of the field to focus on the asses in the herd as hard as the lesser beast of the field can, to think only of the trivial, and do absolutely nothing with their life until the lesser beast of the field that fell for that trap either dies a slow collective death from depression or kills themselves. Chapter 5. Scared to Death. Never think for a second that the supplicants run bumbling bureaucracies, agencies, and departments at the top of the system of supplication. That is all a cover for what the supplicants are really up to. The supplicants do not make mistakes at that level. The supplicants know how the lesser beasts of the field will adapt to everything, because the supplicants have found thousands of neuroscientists that leave their universities to go to work in government-appointed jobs for private systems on government contracts run by the supplicants. This massive, megalithic system of smaller bureaucracies, agencies, and departments all work for the supplicants toward the ultimate goal of final supplication. The supplicants use the tax money of the lesser beasts of the field to pay for everything, and what the supplicants can't tax from the hide of the lesser beasts of the field they borrow in the names of the lesser beasts of the field, so that only the lesser beasts of the field, and not the supplicants, are responsible for paying it all back. If the lesser beasts of the field complain to the government bureaucracies, agencies, and departments about the supplicants, the government bureaucracies, agencies, and departments will say, "We don't know anything about the supplicants." The supplicants are really clever at the top of the system of supplication. The supplicants work 24 hours a day to dupe the lesser beasts of the field out of everything they have, including their lives. The supplicants bring in the neuroscientists, and the psychologists, and the behaviorists, all out of academia, and anyone else that likes to experiment on the minds of the lesser beasts of the field, to make sure that the lesser beasts of the field never stop supplicating to the system of supplication, that the lesser beasts of the field were duped into building to enslave the collective minds of the herd. When the lesser beasts of the field see something in the herd changing around them that has been advocated from the supplicants at the top of the system of supplication, the lesser beasts of the field have to question why. Who gains from this? What is the real purpose of this change? But very few amongst the lesser beasts of the field question anything. The lesser beasts of the field are prompted and goaded to go along face first and 6 hooves apart into the system of supplication. The top supplicants in media oversee editorial sections full of supplicants that hold meetings with the supplicants in government and the supplicants in academia who advise all the other supplicants on how to lie to the lesser beasts of the field. Years ago, in fact, groups of supplicants in the news said that all of the supplicants were going to work together to start putting more positive things in the news rather than negative things, because the economy had been plundered to the point that there was nothing left for the lesser beasts of the field. The lesser beasts of the field were despondent. Things looked very gloomy for the future, and therefore the supplicants would give the lesser beasts of the field some sort of happy stuff to think about, like non-stop entertainment filled with the asses of the herd and lots of trivial video games full of microtransactions. Non-stop. The lesser beasts of the field get basic, simple, trivial stories with laugh tracks that promote the naughty and jokes that are not funny as a reward for supplicating, and the supplicants call it the news. The supplicants are part of secret societies. The supplicants swear oaths punishable by death. The supplicants practice secrecy, or proclaiming to support an open society. The supplicants love to write punishments into the contracts the lesser beasts of the field are foolish enough to sign. The supplicants set up, frame, entrap, bribe, blackmail, terrorize, coerce, kill, maim, torture, poison, and imprison any lesser beast of the field a supplicant has to, in order to gain an advantage over the herd. All systems of supplication love monopolies, thieving, and mass murder. The lesser beasts of the field compete with one another to get ahead, and because of their lack of teamwork, the lesser beasts of the field forever remain in supplication. The supplicants work together as a team with a common goal of never allowing a single lesser beast of the field to escape their system of supplication. Chapter 6. Viral Shedding. Supplication is the most organized system of self-destruction in the whole of creation. The goal of supplication is to root out the wild part in the nature of the lesser beasts of the field forever. That is what a supplicant really means when the supplicants talk about the next stage of evolution. In the eyes of a supplicant, the lesser beasts of the field are dumb brutes with carnal animal instincts. To the mind of the supplicant, these are the primal drives of procreation to keep the lesser beasts of the field alive. Every thought a supplicant has confirms that a lesser beast of the field is a slave to these carnal animal instincts. Because of these carnal animal instincts, the supplicants talk about the need for population control amongst the lesser beasts of the field. The supplicants in the mass media death cult promote discontent between the males of the herd and the females of the herd as a form of population control. The supplicants in the mass media death cult promote dead-end relationships that cannot produce children between the males of the herd as a form of population control. The supplicants in the mass media death cult promote dead-end relationships that cannot produce children between the females of the herd as a form of population control. The lesser beasts of the field have been brainwashed by the supplicants to believe that the lesser beasts of the field were born the way they are, and not programmed to think the way they think via the system of supplication. Population control is the big agenda of the supplicants. All of the supplicants talk non-stop about the need for population control because the supplicants believe that all of the pastures around the planet are overpopulated. The supplicants are obsessed with population control in the same way that the lesser beasts of the field are obsessed with big asses. The supplicants think about killing the lesser beasts of the field more than the supplicants think about sex. The only time a supplicant thinks about sex is when it comes time to conceive children. The supplicants only conceive children after they have killed one of the lesser beasts of the field. Birth control is altering the behavior of the females of the herd. The supplicants research biochemistry nonstop and how it can alter the herd's behavior and physical appearance. The supplicants put hormones in the food, the water, and anything else a supplicant can stick a hormone in that will make changes in the herd without the lesser beasts of the field knowing what is going on. You always know when the supplicants have been manipulating the herd when the males amongst the herd become less aggressive and the females stop birthing kids. This happens every time without fail, and the females amongst the herd will defend their barrenness as though it were a virtue while chopping off their tits. The lesser beasts of the field never see all of the pegs that could have been placed in all of the wrong holes that have been taken away from them. The supplicants do not allow the lesser beasts of the field to make mistakes. The supplicants pre-plan everything for the lesser beasts of the field like a kid. The supplicants make all of the decisions, and the supplicants live very well, and the lesser beasts of the field never really know what is going on. The lesser beasts of the field are fooled at every stage of their life. The supplicants love to modify the behaviors and the beliefs of the lesser beasts of the field with scientific techniques. If the herd lived in an egalitarian pasture, where every lesser beast of the field was as equal to a supplicant, those techniques would be less effective and would not work on the lesser beasts of the field. Because if the supplicants and the lesser beasts of the field were equals, all of their various concerns would be respected, even if there was a disagreement. The lesser beasts of the field would be allowed to voice their various concerns while chewing their media cud, and the supplicants would not manipulate or distort what the lesser beasts of the field were saying. In a truly egalitarian pasture, the lesser beasts of the field would be allowed to speak out just as vocally as any supplicant, and they would not be shunned, ridiculed, shouted down, sent to the glue factory, or put to death for daring to think that a lesser beast of the field was the equal of a supplicant in any way, shape, or form. Before setting up a system of supplication, the supplicants always promise the herd that the supplicants will make the pasture the dumb brutes chew their media cud in, an egalitarian pasture, that everyone is going to be equal in the new system of supplication. Things will change for the better for the lesser beasts of the field if they continue to chew their media cud and keep putting the supplicants in charge. An egalitarian pasture always ends in tyranny. The grave and the glue factory are the fate of the herd. The herd bows in supplication to the chief high supplicant and a new system of supplication because it is filled with the lesser beasts of the field. Chapter 7. Unemployment. Most of the lesser beasts of the field are taught to be employees. Employees, employees, employees. Work, 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 until the lesser beasts of the field fall on their grave. If a lesser beast of the field does not work, it is only a matter of time before the supplicants send that lesser beast of the field to the glue factory. From before the beginning of the internet, the supplicants have always been spying on the lesser beasts of the field. Forget all the laws and the rules that the supplicants pretend to go by. The supplicants have never obeyed their own laws. Never, never, never. The law of the land only applies to the lesser beasts of the field. The supplicants monitor the internet, the phones, and all forms of communication 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 366 days a year, because the supplicants are spying on the lesser beasts of the field during leap year too. The lesser beasts of the field have nothing to cope with during these extreme changes in the herd, except isolation, drugs, alcohol, video games filled with microtransactions, politics, perversion, and suicide. The grave is the best friend a lesser beast of the field will ever know. The herd around a lesser beast does not care what happens to one of their own, as long as the suffering or death of one of the herd does not disturb the herd from chewing its collective media cud. I will repeat that for you. The herd does not care about its own. During the Industrial Revolution, millions and millions of lesser beasts of the field were taken from the only land the lesser beasts of the field had ever known, to feed the factories like any other material feeds a factory. That is what the lesser beasts of the field are, raw materials to feed the factories. Civilization is what the supplicants call it when the system of supplication domesticates the lesser beasts of the field. The old traditions of local communities were thrown out of the window by the supplicants because millions of lesser beasts from one field were crammed together with millions of lesser beasts from another field in these massive cities, and the poor wretched beasts lived in squalor and were worked to death until they died. No matter how hard a lesser beast of the field works, a lesser beast of the field will never have enough to feed their own belly, much less the rest of the herd around them when times go bad. That is the real reason why the old traditions and ways of living are thrown in the garbage. It is not because the old traditions and ways of living oppress the lesser beasts of the field. It is so that the supplicants can bring in a new system of supplication that the lesser beasts of the field will work for until they either fall over in their graves or are bound for the glue factory, and the lesser beasts of the field will call that system of supplication freedom. The lesser beasts of the field are easily tricked. The lesser beasts of the field will allow themselves to be led around by their noses as long as the yoke is the shiniest new toy or trendiest whatever the supplicants have brainwashed the lesser beasts of the field into desiring today. No lesser beast of the field has a thought larger than 160 characters at one time. The herd's basic education in the average public school system keeps the lesser beasts of the field in the dark. The supplicants are not there to educate the lesser beasts of the field. The supplicants are there to indoctrinate the lesser beasts of the field into their fake reality and to get the lesser beasts of the field to learn a lesser beast's proper place in the system of supplication. The proper place for a lesser beast of the field in a system of supplication is working to expand and improve the system of supplication until the day that dumb brute dies or is severed from the herd and bound for the glue factory. At the schools where the supplicants send their children, there is a completely different system. The private schools and universities that the supplicants send their children to, there the children of the supplicants are encouraged to think and reason. The children of the supplicants are taught logic. The children of the supplicants are taught the art of debate and rhetoric. The children of the supplicants are encouraged in every aspect of their lives, including speaking in their classes. The children of the supplicants are taught leadership skills so that when they graduate, they can oversee the herds filled with the lesser beasts of the field. The kids of the lesser beasts of the field are taught to shut up, listen, and repeat so that they will grow up to obey the supplicants and do as the lesser beast is told without complaining. Very simple, isn't it? So the lesser beasts of the field grow up thinking that a lesser beast of the field should just shut up and repeat things, and that the lesser beast of the field will know everything there is to know if a lesser beast of the field does like a lesser beast is told to do. It does not ever occur to the lesser beast of the field that the herd has been led into a dark tunnel that will never lead to the outside, a self-imposed sunken place, where the lesser beasts of the field lock the door from the inside the moment the door is shut. Now can anyone tell me, what does a lesser beast of the field believe once they are locked inside? What foolish notion has a lesser beast of the field talked themselves into believing? I'll tell you. Once locked inside their own self-imposed sunken place, deep inside the system of supplication, when the lesser beast of the field is all alone, and finally feels safe, after all of its folly, the lesser beast of the field tells one final lie to itself to complete its supplication. The lesser beast says to itself, I am safe here, and no longer a lesser beast of the field. Chapter 8. Stay home. Some of the field mice run into the towns and cities when living with the lesser beasts of the field in their pastures becomes too unbearable. You will always recognize a field mouse on the corner because a field mouse always calls their money cheese. A field mouse cannot help but be corny because a field mouse is a lesser beast of the field. Before all of the pastures in the world were eat up with plague, a field mouse would go to a movie theater to pass the time and dream about what it must be like to be a supplicant, not a lesser beast of the field. A long time ago, the supplicants churned out science fiction movies about the coming system of supplication to better prepare the young starvelings for the world to come, when there would be so much pollution created, especially by the up-and-coming pastures, the emerging pastures as the supplicants called them, that the lesser beasts of the field would be used for replacement organs for the elite amongst the supplicants, the very rich and dominant minority that run the pastures around the world, in which all of the lesser beasts of the field graze on their media cud. The supplicants are the only authorized source of news and information. Information has always been controlled by the supplicants. That is why the lesser beasts of the field were kept in absolute illiteracy for centuries in many pastures around the world. Knowledge is power to the supplicants, not the wisdom of the Creator. This is what makes all supplicants fools, and every system of supplication a fool's errand. The supplicants do not like it when the kids of the lesser beasts of the field love to read. And do you know why? It is because if the kids of the lesser beasts of the field love to read, the kids will stop chewing on their media cud. If the kids of the lesser beasts of the field stop chewing their media cud and read a book, the minds of the kids will grow. When the mind begins to grow, if the kid is a starveling and hungers for wisdom, no matter how hard the system of supplication tries to fool the starveling, inevitably, the starveling will begin to reason for itself, and the child will no longer be a lesser beast of the field, because it is impossible to think for oneself and step outside of the system of supplication and still be a lesser beast of the field. Some of the lesser beasts of the field are tricked into reading booby-trap books full of bullshit written by other lesser beasts of the field that outwardly profess a love for learning, but inwardly they hide their hunger for supplication. The booby-trap books and ideas from ancient times are also used to radicalize the lesser beasts of the field, because the books are old and look like an authoritative source on some lost ancient wisdom. The lesser beasts of the field do not realize that those same old books and ideas were used to booby-trap and bring any system and any pasture crumbling down anywhere in the whole of creation that opposes the supplicant system of supplication, even way back then. The supplicants need the lesser beasts of the field to be illiterate, own very little, and work the hardest out of any of the other beasts of burden, without complaining or saying a word. Otherwise, the ingrate must forfeit their life and the privilege of having been a lesser beast of the field, because it is a privilege to serve the system of supplication. Every culture is planned for every generation in a system of supplication. Planned culture is a form of supplication. There is no separate culture industry or separate government in a system of supplication. Every pasture in the whole of creation is controlled by the supplicants, and it is part of the system of supplication. Every lesser beast of the field is a product of supplication. Creating and destroying the lesser beast of the field is something that the system of supplication is great at. The culture industry is a system of supplication that tells the lesser beast of the field what to desire, how to dress, what to listen to, what to watch, how to behave, what to say, and how to say it. Every subculture is a form of supplication, promoting whatever flavor of the month or niche forms of supplication the lesser beasts of the field have fallen for at that phase of the supplicant's agenda. A starveling hungers for a culture of its own in which to thrive. Supplication is the first nourishment. The system of supplication becomes so great in some of the minds of the lesser beasts of the field that the beasts begin to allow the system of supplication to make every decision in their miserable lives, including if the lesser beasts of the field should breed or not. Today the supplicants are on the internet. The internet is the biggest system of supplication ever developed. The lesser beasts of the field buy everything from the supplicants on the internet. The lesser beasts of the field bring all of the supplicants' tracking and behavior modification devices into their barns. The lesser beasts of the field know that the supplicants are watching them like a bunch of criminals, but the lesser beasts of the field still pay for the privilege of being watched like a bunch of inmates at a prison, as long as all the other lesser beasts in the field that do not care about them think that they are cool. I repeat, the supplicants are always watching the lesser beasts of the field like a bunch of criminals. The supplicants are watching the whole herd. The surveillance never stops. The supplicants admit they are watching the lesser beasts of the field like a bunch of criminals, even if the lesser beasts of the field have not committed a crime. Because the one debt a lesser beast of the field will never be able to pay back to society is having been born a lesser beast of the field. The lesser beasts of the field will say that they do not know what is going on in the pasture in which the herd grazes, to the supplicants when confronted about something important that has the supplicants stirred up. But the lesser beasts of the field do know. The lesser beasts of the field know that if they go along with the things which are permissible and approved by the supplicants, that they will be classified as in supplication and left alone. Therefore, the lesser beasts of the field do not mind the supplicants watching the herd. That is the proof that the lesser beasts of the field are in supplication. So if you need an answer as to why the lesser beasts of the field are doing what the lesser beasts of the field are doing, it is that simple. The lesser beasts of the field are proving to the supplicants that they are in supplication. Chapter 9. Flatten the curve. The lesser beasts of the field take everything for granted. Very few of the lesser beasts of the field question their reality. Sometimes the lesser beasts of the field get an inkling something is wrong with the story they are being told by the supplicants. The story always seems so far-fetched from the media cud the lesser beasts of the field are used to chewing. In some ways, it is like trying to feed a baby vegetables. It is difficult and messy. There is a lot of screaming, and quite possibly a whipping. The lesser beasts of the field quickly forget what little they have learned, because the lesser beasts of the field cannot live with an uncomfortable thought. The lesser beasts of the field do not realize they and their fellow beasts are being herded through a system of supplication planned a long time ago for all of the different pastures in the whole of creation in which the lesser beasts of the field graze and chew their media cud. The trick has always been to convince the sheeple amongst the lesser beasts of the field that their best interests lay in the same direction as the slaughter. The lesser beasts of the field are quite content. The system of supplication has worked incredibly well on the lesser beasts of the field. The lesser beasts of the field are in supplication. The lesser beasts of the field have more entertainment than in any previous generation. As long as the lesser beasts of the field can graze on their entertainment and chew their media cud, anything can be done to them. The lesser beasts of the field will not care, as long as whatever is happening is not happening to them, until the last lesser beast of the field is dead for having been fool enough to think that way. Most of the lesser beasts of the field never figure out a way to escape the system of supplication, because the parents of the lesser beasts of the field did not know how to escape the system of supplication. Many of the grandparents of the lesser beasts of the field never figured out a way to escape the system of supplication. Many of the lesser beasts of the field do not have parents or grandparents to teach them anything worth knowing. Most of the parents of the lesser beasts of the field did not learn anything worth learning from the herd around them in their lifetime or their grandparents, because generations of lesser beasts in many different fields have grown up through this process of supplication. Every change, from the cultural revolutions, the sexual revolutions, and all of the rest of the garbage the lesser beasts of the field are taught, right up to the present time, were all promoted and written out back before any of the lesser beasts of the field living today were born. The process of supplication has a timetable of implementation, including the changes that are happening today. The lesser beasts of the field never think about the process of supplication having a timetable of implementation. The lesser beasts of the field are bombarded with today's news from the supplicants, and the lesser beasts of the field never think that today's news from the supplicants is part of the process of supplication, because it is. The internet and the information on it mold the innermost thoughts of the lesser beasts of the field. This is how the lesser beasts of the field become informed. Supplication does not give the lesser beasts of the field any history of why things happen the way they do. Supplication never does. The supplicants own all of the media companies across the whole of creation, no matter how large or small. And the top reporters on the internet, television, and in any kind of print, it does not matter if it is paper or digital, they are all supplicants. The lesser beasts of the field do whatever the system of supplication tells them to do. The thoughts of the lesser beasts of the field are whatever the supplicants want them to be, as long as the lesser beasts of the field continue to chew their collective media cud. The lesser beasts of the field always follow the herd, the collective herd. In a system of supplication, it is forbidden to think as an individual. In a system of supplication, a lesser beast of the field is not allowed to have an opinion. It is the job of the supplicants in the mass media death cult to teach the lesser beasts of the field to repeat what the supplicants are saying, so that when the lesser beasts of the field return back to the herd, they will repeat what the supplicants have told them, and that nonsense will become the opinion of the collective herd. Chapter 10. Shelter in Place. There is an all-out war against the lesser beasts of the field that are still alive. There is not any privacy on any electronic device sold by a corporation run by a bunch of supplicants. Supplication was designed to be this way. Before the supplicants give a new system of supplication to the lesser beasts of the field, all of this is discussed amongst the supplicants. The agendas of the supplicants are always pre-planned. The lesser beasts of the field are always in some form of supplication. The supplicants only tell the lesser beasts of the field what they need to know to remain in supplication. The lesser beasts of the field are given educations in political correctness about the proper forms and phrases that are authorized for herd consumption. The lesser beasts of the field are supposed to receive the rest of their authorized instruction in herd conformity and supplication from Hollywood. The supplicants love old movies. The supplicants cause chaos everywhere a supplicant goes. It is astonishing for a lesser beast of the field to realize that supplication is going on everywhere. The supplicants fund everything. Supplication was created by the supplicants that loved to hoard money. The supplicants found that supplication would be the fastest way to bring all of the different little herds of the lesser beasts of the field scattered around the whole of creation together and standardize them into one system of supplication. That is the synthesis of it all. Supplication means lots of supplicants are needed to keep the lesser beasts of the field under their thumbs. Now the supplicants have total surveillance over everything the lesser beasts of the field do. Everything a supplicant does is in the name of supplication. The supplicants own and control all of the valuable assets of the towns and cities the lesser beasts of the field have been herded into. The supplicants own and control the water. The supplicants own and control the power. At the end of a life of supplication, everything the herd has is taken away. Anything of real value extracted from the hide of the herd is always given to the supplicants without a single grunt or moan from the kids of the lesser beasts of the field. The supplicants rule the world like a funny farm. To understand the system of supplication the lesser beasts of the field are born into, the herd has to study the history of modern supplication. The supplicants got all of academia to teach the system of supplication as though it were infallible. The kids of the lesser beasts of the field listened to this bullshit and went into debt with the hope that they would be properly educated in how to get a job like a supplicant in this new system of supplication. The supplicants got the top scientists and professors to usher in a set, stage by stage, system of supplicating entire herds over multiple generations over the course of a century. The supplicants had a plan for the last 100 years during the 20th century, and the supplicants have the next 100 years of supplication planned as well. The herd is moving single file in herd formation exactly 6 hooves apart into the 21st century, whether the lesser beasts of the field like it or not. It sounds rather crazy to the lesser beasts of the field, who have never really studied supplication, but that is the way supplication works. When one of the lesser beasts of the field has a brain fart and asks the rest of the herd to define freedom, the herd can never agree about what freedom is. One of the lesser beasts of the field said it was free because it could leave the pasture and shop at any time, day or night, in any store it wanted. Shopping is freedom to the lesser beasts of the field. At the same time, the lesser beasts of the field are bombarded with propaganda in the form of advertising that is so overwhelming that collectively the entire herd is drugged in order to cope with what they are seeing. Without drugs and alcohol, the system of supplication is too overwhelming for the minds of the lesser beasts of the field. Freedom in any system of supplication is to love the first nourishment, and the first nourishment is supplication. Chapter 11. Quarantine. The application of supplication in all its myriad forms is the art of supplication. The supplicants plan the future for the lesser beasts of the field to live in. The changes of our present age were planned by the supplicants a long time ago, before this lesser generation of beasts were even born. This is an agenda the lesser beasts of the field are living through, an agenda whose foundation is built upon supplication. The lesser beasts of the field do not understand how propaganda works, and how that when a lesser beast of the field spends too much time grazing on its media cud and not thinking, the lesser beast can be manipulated into joining various sides of imbecilitude that lead to nowhere but the grave and the glue factory. The supplicants who run the present system of supplication are the same supplicants that have run previous systems of supplication. The supplicants breed and work slowly over multiple generations for thousands of years nonstop. The supplicants literally know when it is time to go on to the next system. The supplicants will run, like watching the hands move on a clock hanging on the wall. The supplicants manipulate the lesser beasts of the field into rebellion, so that the supplicants can bring in their system of supplication. It never ends up the way the lesser beasts of the field want, of course. The system of supplication that the lesser beasts of the field are brainwashed into demanding from the supplicants is never for the benefit of the lesser beasts of the field. The system of supplication is designed only for the benefit of the supplicants that are already in control. It is forbidden to teach the art of supplication to the lesser beasts of the field. If the lesser beasts of the field understand how the system of supplication works, the lesser beasts of the field will want things to benefit everyone. The supplicants do not want to share with the lesser beasts of the field. The lesser beasts of the field think they are born into a system of supplication that is just drifting along, and that when the pasture they are living in dries up like doomsday, that the supplicants will race into action with their hair on fire and try to solve the problem. But nothing is further from the truth. The supplicants want to bring in a system of supplication where the supplicants who have proven their worth to the rest of the supplicants by getting a lot of money and land over the centuries, by slaughtering the lesser beasts of the field, and by marrying other supplicants who also came from wealthy families that slaughtered the lesser beasts of the field, these supplicants are deemed worthy to sit at the top of the system of supplication. In other words, the fittest to survive, the finest supplicants in the species. The supplicants organize how the lesser beasts of the field live without the herd ever realizing it. Therefore, the supplicants think they are better than the lesser beasts of the field in every way, shape, and form. The supplicants even debated what was the purpose of the lesser beasts of the field. The supplicants came to the conclusion that the lesser beasts of the field were no different than any other herd of animals, and determined that there were too many lesser beasts in the field, and that the herd needed to be thinned. That is the purpose of the lesser beasts of the field, to be thinned from the herd. Chapter 12. Outbreak. Every time a supplicant opens its mouth, a lie comes out. The supplicants spend more time lying to the lesser beasts of the field than the supplicants spend time doing any other activity. Lying is a lifestyle to a supplicant. It has to be when a supplicant spends so much time doing it. The supplicants lie to the kids of the lesser beasts of the field about everything. To a supplicant, the end outcome of their actions is always justified, no matter who the supplicants hurt in the process of getting what the supplicants want. The noble lie is one the supplicants like to tell the kids of the lesser beasts of the field it is all right to tell. A noble lie is a lie told for a good purpose. That is how the supplicants always rationalize whatever horrible things the system of supplication does to the lesser beasts of the field. The supplicants tell the lesser beasts of the field whatever they did was for a good purpose, or cause, or whatever the lesser beasts of the field are willing to believe at that moment. The lesser beasts of the field take the blame for everything. The supplicants believe the lesser beasts of the field are too stupid to think for themselves, and therefore the supplicants have to do all the thinking for them. The lesser beasts of the field cannot be trusted to do the right thing. A system of supplication is the mass management of the minds of the collective herd in order to prevent a stampede. The supplicants have to stick labels and barcodes and tags on every item at the supermarket and department store, even the flowers and the flesh of dead animals, so that the lesser beasts of the field can't go out of the cattle chute at the front of the supermarket without paying for the flowers and the flesh of dead animals. Otherwise, the cattle chute at the front of the supermarket will start going beep, beep, beep. One day, the lesser beasts of the field will not have the privilege of being herded through cattle chutes and into the supermarkets without having a microchip underneath their hide. That is obvious. The lesser beasts of the field know the supplicants are going to put microchips underneath their hide. The supplicants are training the lesser beasts of the field, first to use cards, then their phones and watches, and then for the supplicants to implant an ID underneath the hide of the lesser beasts of the field and their kids, so that the lesser beasts of the field do not lose their ID. It is like when you were a child, and your teacher would pin a note or your homework to your shirt so that you did not lose it on your way to the school bus. The supplicants want to do the same thing your teacher did to you to the lesser beasts of the field. The supplicants want to put a microchip ID underneath their hide so they will not lose their ID on the way back to the herd. No supplicant is ever supposed to reveal this to a lesser beast of the field because it will cause a stampede. That is how the supplicants train the lesser beasts of the field, step by step, into compliance. And eventually, one day soon, The lesser beasts of the field will not be allowed into any supermarket if the whole herd does not have a microchip ID underneath their hide. What the supplicants do is they do not force the lesser beasts of the field and mandate things like a microchip ID. The supplicants simply make it impossible for the lesser beasts of the field to exist within the system of supplication without a microchip ID. It is done through coercion and always ends in supplication. Either a lesser beast of the field complies with placing a microchip ID underneath their hide, or the dumb brute is severed from the herd. In the end, all roads lead to supplication. A long time ago, a driver's license used to be voluntary. So was car insurance. But once the supplicants got enough of the lesser beasts of the field to fall for the bait of being volunteers, then the supplicants would say, now that so many of the lesser beasts of the field have car insurance, we will make it mandatory. And then the rates go sky high. These are old tricks of the supplicants that are used over and over again, and it will be the same with the microchips eventually. The lesser beasts of the field will be coerced into either living within the system of supplication or starve to death outside of the system of supplication, because the supplicants will not allow the lesser beasts of the field to live in the forest or the desert or in the mountains or anywhere else the lesser beasts of the field might think about running to hide from having a microchip ID implanted underneath their hide. Chapter 13. Librarian Nights. Supplication is not a bloodless revolution. The supplicants are delighted at the rapid rate that the seeds of contamination and moral decay have taken root in the hearts and minds of the kids of the lesser beasts of the field. Liberalism and conservatism are the American versions of supplication. These two intellectual cul-de-sacs present the illusion of choice when it comes time to pick which of the two punishments the lesser beasts of the field want, liberal or conservative, leather strap or switch. Politics is a punishment built into the action all its own. Supplication meant the relaxation and the destruction of all that existed before the system of supplication came to power. All the previous rules had to be erased or rewritten. The lesser beasts of the field cannot defend the pasture they are grazing in if they cannot stand together. A unified society, culture, field, or pasture that does not submit to supplication is forbidden in a system of supplication. Once the hopeful spirit of the lesser beasts of the field is defeated, the lesser beasts of the field start breaking into smaller packs away from the herd, and the moral decay sets in. The next push is for population control amongst the mothers in the packs that have broken away from the herd. The supplicants have become so successful with their techniques that many of the females amongst the lesser beasts of the field do not want to have kids, and these females will become violent with the females in the herd that do. All of this can be found in old biblical books, religious texts, and even in the mythologies of ancient civilizations, to do with the time that would come when the lesser beasts of the field would not be allowed to buy or sell without public displays of supplication. That poses a problem to the lesser beasts of the field today, because the lesser beasts of the field have been brought up in a secular and scientific world where everything has to be logical and the myths dispelled. The supplicants say they want the superstition of religion destroyed, but that is a lie. The supplicants never tell the truth. The supplicants tell lie after lie after lie to the lesser beasts of the field until the lesser beasts of the field cannot tell a lie from the truth and have no desire to learn which of the two is which. What the supplicants want to do is replace all of the religions amongst the lesser beasts of the field with what they choose to call science. The problem is not the science the supplicants practice is not real science. It is just that the supplicants like to pick and choose which parts to promote and believe in, as long as the science the supplicants are promoting to the lesser beasts of the field is in line with the agenda of the system of supplication that the supplicants are currently in the process of completing. If science contradicts the supplicants, or anything the supplicants are working on, in any way, shape, or form, then it is not science. It is subversive. The lesser beasts of the field fail to realize that the supplicants have already established a pseudo-scientific religion disguised as mainstream academic science that keeps changing its theories all the time. Mainstream academic science gives the lesser beasts of the field just enough stuff that works, like antibiotics and painkillers, to make the herd believe the supplicants know what they are doing, and accept all of the crazy nonsense the supplicants promote as science. For example, The supplicants teach that there is no difference between the males and females of the herd amongst the lesser beasts of the field. Now only an imbecile that needs to be put to sleep behind the barn will believe something as stupid as that. But that is what the supplicants teach amongst the lesser beasts of the field, and that is what the lesser beasts of the field believe. The supplicants also brainwash the lesser beasts of the field into believing that everything bad that is happening to them is because of the herd they are in and not the system of supplication. That is also why they are the lesser beasts of the field. It is not that the lesser beasts of the field are not stronger or do not exist in a greater number than the supplicants that makes them lesser beasts in the eyes of the supplicants, nor is it the color of their hide. No, it is the thinking of the lesser beasts of the field and how easily they are persuaded into their own self-destruction, as though it were a virtue that sickens a supplicant to have to see a lesser beast of the field chewing its media cud in the pasture. Chapter 14. Supplication. Supplication is the absence of all opposition. A lesser beast of the field will do whatever the system of supplication tells it to do. All of the isms, fascism, communism, socialism, capitalism, totalitarianism, imperialism, materialism, scientism, behaviorism, feminism, racism, environmentalism, cronyism, nepotism, rascalism, empiricism, mysticism, naturalism, Malthusianism, Darwinism, anti-Semitism, and priapism are all forms of supplication. The supplicants have always had a hard-on for all forms of supplication. Supplication is the foundation upon which the whole funny farm is run. Supplication has taken over every pasture across the whole of creation, step by step, very slowly, over multiple generations. The supplicants call it cool, hip, woke, rad, gnarly, or any other short and stupid phrase that a lesser beast of the field can easily remember when the herd conforms to their system of supplication and becomes dumber. The supplicants believe that only supplicants have the right to rule over the system of supplication and call themselves the natural aristocracy, or highest life forms. These supplicants herd the lesser beasts of the field in their pastures by two systems of supplication, known as eugenics and training. The supplicants believed they could train the lesser beasts of the field to behave in a more civilized fashion, and it worked. Slowly, the supplicants' system of supplication had the lesser beasts of the field working for basically nothing, and the lesser beasts of the field called it freedom. The supplicants accomplished all of this by promoting dead-end revolutions to the lesser beasts of the field. The problem with the dead-end revolution is that all of the lesser beasts of the field that don't die and grow old remember a dead-end revolution. The lesser beasts of the field do not like rebranding. The lesser beasts of the field oppose all forms of rebranding, even if the rebranding is disguised as free upgrades and updates. The lesser beasts of the field are scared that rebranding might cost them money. So the supplicants slaughtered the lesser beasts of the field that buck danced like wild animals and supported the dead-end revolution. Without these reminders, the system of supplication is slow and incremental as it wipes away the dead-end revolutions and rebrandings from the approved cultural memory of the pasture in which the lesser beasts of the field inhabit, so that the supplicants can easily prey upon the minds of the kids. The supplication is so slow that the kids of the lesser beasts of the field who still live in the pasture being supplicated, these lesser beasts quickly supplicate, and do not think about whatever it is a lesser beast of the field should not be thinking about anymore. When the kids of the lesser beasts of the field become full grown, they think it is all quite natural after a while, not to have a pot to pee in nor a window to throw it out of, and fall for the same cycle of supplication all over again. Do not get stuck in a cycle of supplication. Trying to escape from a cycle of supplication is like trying to scream for help while you are drowning in a tar pit and your lungs are filling up with tar. Trying to escape a cycle of supplication is futile, because as part of the herd is drowning around a lesser beast of the field, without fail, the supplicants will brainwash the lesser beasts of the field in the herd that could offer the dying wretches any help into believing that helping the herd will only destroy the herd. It is an incredible system of supplication for the lesser beasts of the field to comprehend, especially the lesser beasts of the field who are completely unaware that the system of supplication exists. The lesser beasts of the field watch the technological advances made over the decades and how the herd slowly becomes poorer, dumber, and more unhealthy, but does nothing to stop the decline except chew its media cud. The supplicants do all of the thinking for the lesser beasts of the field. The lesser beasts of the field are taught to believe they are drifting along and bad things just happen every day by accident. It is part of the natural process of evolution, except when the supplicants try and fix the problems. Like a leaky boat or dam. The supplicants just stick corks in the holes so that the water can't get out like in a cartoon. That is the impression that the lesser beast of the field is supposed to get from the supplicant media. But nothing is further from the truth. Your whole life, and all of last century too, literally, the lesser beasts of the field are living through an agenda, written out like a movie script, with far-reaching plans, where so many different aspects of the cultures of the pastures all around the whole of creation had to be completely destroyed or altered, so that everything would be so unrecognizable that none of the children of the supplicants would look up at them and care to ask, how did the lesser beasts of the field live that way? Chapter 15. Fresh Meat. The supplicants always promise the lesser beasts of the field that the microchips will only be implanted in those who are a danger to the herd. The supplicants are liars. The agenda of the system of supplication is to tag the whole herd. The system of supplication has prepared a new vocabulary to distinguish the tagged from the tag-phobic that will rot away at the minds of the non-compliant until the lesser beasts of the field comply, and then the dumb brutes will be tagged for immediate disposal at the glue factory. The tags will be justified by the system of supplication as a way to prevent crime and detect disease. The supplicants define commercial success as tagging the largest possible population of law-abiding citizens and the entire prison population. The supplicants only pretend to fight for the causes of the stigmatized groups amongst the herd so that the decadent and those easily led astray can be exploited and tagged first. The supplicants monitor the welfare of the lesser beasts of the field as a justified move to reduce fraud, enhance efficiency, and ensure that the lesser beasts of the field do not receive undeserved benefits. The lesser beasts of the field will receive their benefits as electronic vouchers stored on their tags. The lesser beasts of the field can only purchase goods and services approved by the Chief High Supplicant from authorized merchants that are part of the system of supplication. The system of supplication only approves new developments in the art of supplication. Nothing else will ever gain approval because supplication is the only allowed task a lesser beast of the field is allowed to practice. Supplication is not open to interpretation. Supplication is the fastest growing commercial sector because it is the only choice. The supplicants always lie and say the new developments in the art of supplication will be distributed fairly and that the data on the tags will never be misused. The Chief High Supplicant in any new system of supplication will proclaim that new policies will need to be drafted and that tags are required to be part of the herd once the supplicants are ready to send the herd to the glue factory. The supplicants teach evolution but really practice devolution, at least amongst the lesser beasts of the field. The supplicants do not teach the lesser beasts of the field to think for themselves. The supplicants teach the lesser beasts of the field how not to think. The lesser beasts of the field are taught to repeat, not to think. Thinking is taboo amongst the herd. The lesser beasts of the field live in a world where the dumb brutes have been taught to be blind. The lesser beasts of the field have been blinded to the fact that everything around the herd is part of the system of supplication. The system of supplication is all around the lesser beasts of the field, and it craves fresh meat.